I successfully robbed a bank of tens of millions of dollars, but instead of running away, I called the FBI and turned myself in.
FBI, Special Agent Sam Baker. How can I help you?
I'm the in-and-out bandit. I want to turn myself in. I've robbed 12 banks in 7 states. I have a little over $9 million in cash.
The FBI agent who answered the phone seemed a bit helpless because they had received hundreds of similar calls. However, what shocked them even more was the reason I turned myself in.
I met a woman. She's smart, caring, driven, funny. I adore every bit of her. I want to be with her for the rest of my days without feeling guilty about lying to her about my past.
When I admitted that I was confessing in hopes of a reduced sentence, they thought I was insane and mocked me, believing I was just making up a story. In desperation, I decided to present some evidence, but the agents didn't trust the evidence I provided. Eventually, they reluctantly registered my information and said they would send someone to handle the case. What I didn't expect was that the people waiting for me weren't fair-minded officers, but corrupt cops eager for the money. I was once a renowned demolition expert in the military, and with my exceptional skills, I had robbed dozens of banks over the course of 8 years, accumulating a fortune. However, I fell for Annie, the manager at the rental company. A year later, when I proposed to her, she hesitated. It turned out that after going through the pain of a divorce, she was afraid of me leaving her again and reliving the heartbreak. In order to spend the rest of my life with her, I made a huge decision. I would surrender the $9 million I had stolen in exchange for a reduced sentence. 3 days later, the police had forgotten about me. I was anxious, like a bug on a hot pan, itching to rush straight to the police station. But when I opened the door, I was shocked to see 2 agents standing outside Beck's subordinates, Hall and John. They still treated me like a joke, so to prove I was telling the truth, I revealed some details that hadn't been made public.
I focused on small town banks with older vaults, pre-1950. The relocking mechanisms on the newer models are more difficult to blow. But just as important, I needed the bank to have a vacant building next to it with an adjoining wall.
I entered through the ventilation shaft, used explosives to blow open the front door, took the money, and then restored the wall to its original state. The plan was nearly flawless. Hall began to waver, but he knew everything needed to be backed up by evidence. So, he continued asking about the location where the stolen money was hidden. After I gave him the exact location, Hall and John decided to investigate. I offered to go with them, but Hall firmly refused. When Hall and John arrived at the warehouse, they didn't find anything as expected. However, when John urged Hall to leave, we were both stunned.
John.
They hadn't expected that I was telling the truth, but what happened next didn't go as I had imagined. Faced with the huge sum of money, an evil thought crossed their minds. Take the money and kill me. Until that moment, no one had believed what I had said. Hall hesitated at first, but when he thought about his newborn son and his meager salary, he and John didn't hesitate any longer. They picked up the boxes and loaded them into the trunk of their car.